Hey there, Kipsters. We're looking at objectives 1C.3 through 5. That is square roots, perfect and non-perfect square roots, and exponents, positive and negative exponents. This is two different standards here in one objective assessment, so it's a lot of content. We're going to start with something fairly basic, which is finding the square root of a perfect square. So when I say finding the square root, what I'm really telling you is the area of that square. So if I say find the square root of 49, what I'm really telling you is the area of the square is 49. And you need to figure out what the sides of that square are. Hopefully you see that the sides of a square of 49 are going to be 7 and 7, because 7 times 7 would get you 49. The square root of 49 equals 7. So the square actually gives us a visual to represent the square root. If I try a couple others, maybe without the actual visual, if I find the square root of 100, I know that that's 10, because 10 times 10 gets me 100. Go ahead and stop the video here, try C and D. Press play once you have your answers. Okay, you've tried them. The square root of 25 is 5, because 5 times 5 is 25, or because 5 squared is 25. The square root of 121 is 11, because 11 times 11 is 121, or 11 squared equals 121. Pretty basic stuff so far. Now we're going to look at how you'd estimate the square root of a number that's not a perfect square. If I go back, if you look at all these examples, 100, 25, 121, and 49, these were all perfect squares. They were numbers that we put on the flashcards so that we could remember them. But sometimes if we need to find the square root of a number that's not a perfect square, we need to estimate. So again, I'm trying to find the square root of 50. And the problem with that is it's not a perfect square. If I were to try some numbers, let's see, 7 times 7, that would be 49, that would be too small. 8 times 8, that'd be 64. That'd be too big. So the whole point is that the square root of 50 is not going to be a whole number. We're going to need to estimate. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to find two perfect squares that it would be in between. So I know that that 50 is bigger than 49, which is the perfect square. The square root of 49 would be 7 times 7. I know that 50 is smaller than 64, which is also a perfect square. The sides of 64, the square root of 64, would be 8. So what that's telling me is that the square root of 50 must be smaller than 8, but it's going to be bigger than 7. It's somewhere in between that. And if it's only asking me to estimate it to the nearest whole number, I just need to figure out, is it going to be closer to 7 or closer to 8? And the way I think about that is, okay, I'll look at the number 50. Is 50 closer to the number 49 or closer to the number 64? You should see that 50 is really close to 49. So what that means is that the square root of 50 is going to be really close to 7. And so what I'm going to actually say is that the square root of 50 is close to 7. It's going to be just a little bit bigger than 7. And so the closest whole number is 7. If I were to find the actual square root of 50, I'm trying to grab my calculator right now, the actual square root of 50 equals 7.07106. The number keeps going. It's an irrational number. You can see that the estimate of 7 is actually pretty close. 7 and a little bit extra. So our answer was pretty close. Now I'd like you to try. Please estimate square root of 30 to the nearest whole number. I'll get you started here, so you're trying to start with figuring out what perfect squares is it in between. Stop the video here, press play after you finish your estimate. You're estimating to the nearest whole number. Okay, you've tried B. Now you want to check your answer. The two perfect squares that it's in between are 36 and 25. The square root of 36 is 6. The square root of 25 is 5. So the square root of 30 is less than 6 and greater than 5. So you had those two options to pick from. I see that 30 is 5 away from 25, and it's 6 away from 36. So if you had to pick, it's closer to the middle between the two, but it is closer to 5. So square root of 30 is closest to the number 5. It'll be a little bit bigger than 5. And this should have been your answer, 5. Just to make sure your answer makes sense, if you find the actual square root of 30, it equals 5.47722 and goes on forever. It's another irrational number. You can see that 5.4 is closer to 5 than it is to 6. And so that's why your estimate of 5 is a good one.